challenge. I want you to stop whatever you're doing and listen. Don't only take a few minutes over. I want you to keep listening regardless of who you are and what you believe. Sounds good? Okay, let's begin. So we all know global warming is a growing problem. We all do. But we chose to ignore it. You, especially me. Many people ignore it in favor of profit and modernization of our society. We can already feel the environmental impacts. Greenhouse gases act as an obstacle for reflective sun rays to exit the atmosphere. By trapping infrared radiation, the Earth's temperature increases. A warmer climate causes the melting of polar caps, stronger typhoons, and other natural disasters. We all know and often hear that fossil fuels used for transportation and energy production are the major contributors to greenhouse gases. But there's one unknown source that's been under our noses. It's been living with us, among us. And it's cows!
So what's the deal about cows? During digestion, cows and other ruminants produce methane, and this is released into the atmosphere when the cow breathes or farts. For this chart, we could see that the cows produce more methane than any other animal, says the Farmer and Agricultural Organization. For this next chart, it could be seen how 74 pigs, 22 goats, and 14 sheep meets the production of 110.7 kg of methane that can be produced by one dairy cow annually, which is also equivalent to 400 liters a day. According to the Farmer and Agricultural Organization, methane is the most potent greenhouse gas. 1 kilogram of methane warms up the atmosphere more than 20 times as much as 1 kilogram of carbon dioxide. However, cows are not the only producers of methane. Transportation and industry are contributing too. Still, according to a study at NASA, raising livestock is the third largest contributor to global warming, after road transportation and burning of household biofuels.
Cow's digestion. But what makes a cow produce methane? The plant diet of cows and other ruminants is high in cellulose, which cannot be digested by the ruminant itself. However, ruminants have a symbiotic relationship with colonies of microorganisms called methanogens, which live in their gut and break down the cellulose into carbohydrates. These carbohydrates provide both the microbial community and the ruminant with an energy source. Methane is produced as a byproduct of this process. And how does this work?
Ruminants have the unique ability to digest forage. The process, however, is slow because the forage must be broken down by microbes. Ruminants have a 4-chamber stomach in order to accommodate microbial digestion. Cows grab grass with their tongue. Saliva is secreted in the mouth to moisten feed, recycle minerals, and act as a buffer during fermentation in the rumen. After leaving the mouth, the food bolus travels to the esophagus, which is composed of muscular rings that transport food to the stomach. The first compartment in the stomach is the reticulum, also called the honeycomb due to its appearance. The honeycomb shape of the reticulum increases surface area, allowing for more absorption of nutrients. It's similar in function to the rumen, and both of these areas are usually referred to as the reticulorumen. Feed moves from the reticulum to the rumen, which is the largest compartment of the ruminant stomach. Microbes digest feed using a process called fermentation by bacteria, protozoa, and fungi. The population of each changes depending on the quality of forage and amount of grain in the diet. During fermentation, nutrients from the feed are used to form microbial protein and volatile fatty acids, or VFAs. All microbes also produce hydrogen and carbon dioxide as they ferment the feed. There are 3 distinct layers of the rumen: a gas layer at the top, a solid layer in the middle, and a liquid layer on bottom. As fermentation occurs, the rumen contracts to mix digesta and move liquids and fermented feed into the omasum. After leaving the rumen, fermented feed and liquids enter the omasum. This is also referred to as the butcher's Bible due to the many folds that resemble pages in a book. These folds increase the surface area for water and nutrient absorption. The abomasum is the 4th compartment of the ruminant stomach and functions similar to the stomach of non-ruminants. Digesta leaves the abomasum and travels to the small and large intestines where further absorption occurs. Methanogens may be present as part of the rumen microflora. Methanogens combine hydrogen and carbon dioxide produced by other microbes during fermentation to form methane. Methane is eructated or belched out of the rumen and leaves the animal by the esophagus to enter the atmosphere. The cow uses microbial protein and VFAs to grow to its mature size and maintain body weight.
Okay, so cow seems to be an issue worldwide. So how much are we here in the Philippines contributing today?
According to the Philippine Statistics Authority, there are some 2.56 million cattle raised in the Philippines. Worldwide, however, there is about 989 million cattle according to statistics. This means that the Philippines raises about 2.6% of the cattle worldwide. At the same time, the Philippine population is only about 1.3% of the world population. This means that, on the average, the Philippines contributes to production less than other countries do. Similarly, consumption of beef and veal in the Philippines is relatively low in comparison to other countries. If you look at this graph, with data from the OECD database, the Philippines is relatively good off. We also notice that the neighboring countries, Malaysia, China, Indonesia, and Thailand, all are below the world average when it comes to beef and veal consumption. This may be explained by geographical culinary preferences, but this might change over time. Studies published in the U.S. National Institute of Health showed that with increased wealth of people, meat consumption increases. As the Philippine economy is developing, we are probably going to eat more cows. So, we have a choice. In the future, do we really need to eat more meat, especially beef and veal?
Cow industry is a issue or a problem here in the Philippines about in the aspect of methane production.
Okay. Again, the main issue is not really the methane production, but how many, how much quantities is really the methane production is, well, considered as issue in the global warming and climate change context, no? But if you're going to blame the cow industry for that, then I think that's unfair to those, because again it's a matter of which are we going to consider, no? The food security or the environmental problem. It is at the most is not the direct problem that we need to face right now. No? I think it's the food security. So between the two, I think methane production may not be the main problem. No? In fact, they are not comparable. No? Okay, first and foremost, the cow industry in the Philippines is not that many as compared to those countries with so many number of cows like New Zealand, Australia. Okay.
Sorry. I'm just thinking about the conversation we had about last time about cows. I'm just wondering, how about cars? Hey, there's Paul. Do you think he knows? Oh, hey Paul. Do you remember about the conversation we had about cows last time?
Yes, I do. What about it?
Do you know something about car production in terms of greenhouse gases?
Yes, I do. A car that burns 4 liters of gas can create 9 kilograms of carbon dioxide. And average car emits 6 tons of carbon dioxide every year.
So, which do you think is more harmful? Cow's production of methane gas or car's production of carbon dioxide?
For me, it's CO2. Because CO2 is more abundant than methane. Also, it stays much longer in the atmosphere.
But cows produce methane which is 23 times more harmful than carbon dioxide. Since methane traps more heat from the sun, it contributes far more to global warming and greenhouse gases.
Yet, based on studies, car is the #1 source in developing global warming. Second is burning fossil fuels. And third is livestock, where cow is under.
According to United Nations, agriculture is responsible for the 18% of the total release of greenhouse gases. Further studies shows also that 1 kilogram of beef produces 36.4 kilograms of carbon dioxide, while an average car emits the same amount for every 250 kilometers it drives.